Look at this old school drip. Look at it. All right, guys, we're going to try something new here. We're going to go, look at that. We're going to go absolutely raw. We're going in raw. Guys, no editing. I'm just turning on the camera here and filming it for the sake of expediency. And, you know, I just have a lot of stuff to do, and I wanted to film a couple of videos today. And I really don't have the time to edit, so I'm going to try to just record this stuff, you know, load it onto the laptop and put it up onto YouTube. Let's see how this works, right? Thumbnails, you know, whatever it generates, I guess, you know, because I really want to get these subjects out. And the first subject that I want to talk about is Gerard, right? We want to close out this saga. Gerard is trying to make a comeback, you know, and as the more I think about it, the more I know that this is going to need some sort of thumbnail. But, you know, the last video that he made was about criticizing Nintendo. All right, now, Gerard, look at me, buddy. Look at me right here. Look. You got me? All right. Pay attention. Now, this whole notion that you're going to go back to the way it was, you know, and this other weird-ass persona you're trying to do with the curly hair, and you're playing with your dog, and, you know, you're being childlike. Nah, dude, that's cringy as hell. And nobody wants that, right? Now, everybody's thinking, well, this guy, will he ever make a comeback? Not in the way he was, and I don't think he can take, you know, he's not able to accept that L. You know, he still wants to be the Gerard from before, right? And he could have never been. He has a chance now because the other two guys that exposed him turned out to be just as bad as him, right? One's a fake engineer, you know, claiming that all these stories, you know. He's a Tallarico in his own mind, right? Oh, I did this, and I went traveled countries, and I filmed documentaries, and I'm the best because my dads and moms, they're scientists and doctors. And oh, man, what a bunch of crap. What a phony. And then the other guy got spanked to hell by Billy Mitchell. He's working for Billy Mitchell right now. That's right, baby. Make those videos. You got to give Billy his 20%. Shout out to Billy. So these two guys, you know, they're not any moral pillars. You know, that hole's bothering me. Let me stand right here. They're not any moral pillars to be, you know, judging anybody based on the crap that they have done. So what can he do, right? And here's the delusion, right? Here's the delusion from us YouTubers that just talk smack on the internet, and this is all there is for your entertainment. You know, I'm thinking, you know, what do I want to hear from Gerard now? Do I really want to hear the whole completionist thing again? I don't. Nobody does, right? You can tell by the views. But you know what I would love to hear is the old Gerard, you know, with a suit and jacket, not this long hair, curly crap, right? Not this childlike persona on Twitch. None of that crap. You know, be a businessman. I mean, to tell you the truth, what you really should do is follow your father's advice. You know, your dad has some tough love for you, man. And, you know, as a father, you always want the best for your kids. And you tell them what they need to know, not what they want to hear. And what your dad told you is find a new career, get a real job and all that stuff. That's what you really should do at 40 years old. Look at where you're at, man. You know, but if you want to continue on the YouTube racket, and if you want to, you know, rebuild from the bottom, guys, one saying that is really, really true, let me tell you this. The thing about hitting rock bottom, it is that it's solid ground to build on, right? I've been rock bottom, guys. I've been, you know, you know, I've been homeless. I've been living out of my car while I was going to school. You know, I was working Lyft. I was living off $1 a day of food at one point, right? Before all this, you know, I was in the struggle. But when you hit rock bottom, it's a great place to build. You can see clearly where you want to be, right? I want to be at this place. I want to be at that place. But the first thing this guy's got to do is realize that he can't go back to being the old Gerard. That's over. Just take the L. It's done. But you have a place to build on here. This is a semi first good step that you made here, because I think where your content would be really popular is that you know the ins and outs of the industry. They're never going to accept you. Stop trying. Stop trying to be again the old Gerard that's going to be in with everybody. No, everybody's running away from you. All those people that live stream with you and gave you all this support and all, they're gone. They want nothing to do with you. But the one thing you can offer to your viewers is the inside and the outside of the video game industry, the people you work with. You go back and review that Frost incident. What did you do that was corporate? What did you do that was you? Because it looks like you were just trying to hold the company line, whatever that was. But now you can tell people your real sentiments, whatever they were, and what was going on behind the scenes. I think that's a video that people would love to hear about. Right? The deals that you made with companies, how the video game industry works, the indie video game scene. Reviews, how are reviews skewed, right? When companies, give these games, AAA companies give these games to major magazines. What kind of pressure do they put on you in order to give out a good review? Those are the kind of things, the inside knowledge of the industry, whatever you feel is there. That's whatever your knowledge base is of things that people don't know. I think that's a great niche for him to explore, and start making videos on that. His reputation, it is what it is. You have to build from the bottom, but the people that exposed you are no better than you. So they're are they anybody to judge you? The internet's going to judge you, right? But not these two fools, not the fake engineer and the fake journalist, so this whole thing that you do about, I'm going to sue them, just let it go. There's nothing to sue. You screwed up. You screwed up. Now, let me tell you this, guys. I believe that, his family did what he was going to do, and this guy's just not a numbers guy. And they just told him, hey, this is what we're doing. Shut up. You do the face part. We'll run the background. That's it. Did he know that something was going on before he told people? Yes. I think so. But I didn't think it was his, I don't think it was his role in the company to manage the money, even though on paper it was, right? On paper he was a member of the board or whatever it was. Regardless, guys, if they were going to throw this guy in jail, they would have thrown him in jail a long time ago, right? They would, they wouldn't wait. And if anything bad happens to him, it's not going to be anything more than paying a fine. At least that's what it appears like, right? From the things that he's said, from the fact that, California is very, very strict when it comes to those things, and they haven't done anything to the guy. So, he's got some wiggle room there. But if he went back, just to be a quote unquote journalist, which he's not, he's got a degree in, cinematography or something like that, some one of those degrees. But he does have industry knowledge, and I think those are the things he could share. Does he have any friends? I'm sure that they would tell him information if he didn't mention their name, so he could do a lot of, hey, I've heard from insiders this, I have heard from insiders that. This new indie game, he can put a spotlight on his channel again, but it has to be content that people are going to accept. They're not going to accept the old Gerard, so he's really have to kill that persona. This childish dude. You're 40 plus, man. You got to start acting like a man. You can't be acting like you're 14. On camera. That's not gonna. But I mean, at the end of the day, if it was my kid or my relative that was in this situation, I would tell him straight up, hey, keep this as a hobby, but you need to work on another career. Go study real estate. Shoot, you already have a college degree in California. I think that's where he's from, because his dad is based on there. You can go get a nursing degree. There's all kinds of things you can do already with a college degree. You could be the manager of the gas stations, But you have to have solid ground in order to build a life with. But for me, it's kind of sad to see that this dude's just kind of blowing in the wind. He's already rich. Let's face it. But could he do something else with his life? Could he do something else with his YouTube career? I think so. I think so. I mean, everybody deserves second chances, and as much as people hate him, there's also a side of his community that still, rocks with him. So he just started growing in a different direction. At least that's my opinion. right? But he needs to stop this whole "I'm going to sue you." You know, I'm mad at this. I'm going to be streaming with my dog. I'm going to be at Twitch. Nah, dude, just you can go a different direction and still build. And at the same time, in the background, maybe study something else, because YouTube is a great hobby, but it's a terrible career. All right, humans, this is a raw video. Let's see how this goes, and I'll work on the next one as soon as I get done with breakfast. I'll catch you on the next one. Oh man, I love this shirt, guys. This old school shirt. I love it. Take care.